and growing.
Nice. Great. We just waited a little bit for Liam. And then what we can then do is just to invite people from the moderation panel to just come in and ask a question. Is that correct? Right? If they want to. Nice. So maybe we just wait a little bit for Liam to come over too. And if there is anyone here from the team doing the components, feel free to come in and just join us here and answer the questions. We will always make sure that we leave room for the questions to be asked. We would really love if the questions can be asked, of course, in person, but we also understand that not everyone wants to come on camera or doesn't want to or doesn't have the opportunity to. So therefore, feel free to ask here in the Q&A, and we will just make sure that we get those questions in as well. And I don't know, we just have to go and search for Liam, but he will probably join us. I'm going to check if I see him here in the... Yeah, so I brought with me the DrupalCon thing. So I was so lucky when I was in DrupalCon Amsterdam, which was the last in-person event that we had, that I got one of those because I was actually driving home. So this is like pretty cool for the States today. So Anne and Sarah, are you going to be joined, or are you also going to be in here, or?
No, we're just making sure you're all set.
Perfect. We are all set.
All right.
As long as we can invite Liam to come in when he comes.
I believe so. Yes, he should come.
Awesome. Okay, then we just start here. It means that we would like to take questions. Again, you can put it in the Q&A, or I see that there are some people waiting here to come in and ask the question live. So let's just dive in. Or was there anything, Gabe, that you forgot to say earlier, or did you remember everything?
No, I didn't forget anything. Just the order of some of what I was supposed to say. So thank you.
But you did a really good job, Gabe. So let's start here with, I think I tried to invite now David. Let me see. Did I manage to do that? Oh, see, I just told them to leave, and now we can't figure out how we do this. David, come back in if you have a question. I think maybe he just left. Okay, we have a lot of questions here on the. Let's maybe start with the. Or Gabor, do you want to maybe ask the questions live? We can. Do you see this? Do you see it in the Q&A? Maybe you just want to grab something, Gabe, that you.
Yeah. So Kevin Quillen asked back on the stage a moment ago, does this coincide with the deprecation of jQuery and jQuery UI or Backbone in core for Drupal 10? I mean, it does coincide, but I don't think that it was related to it. It wasn't. One didn't cause the other. Correlation, but not causation. David Conard asked on stage, oh, that's the same question. I think maybe there was a copy and paste.
Yeah.
So anonymously, someone asked, will search engines be able to crawl the JS links in these menus? I think that's a really good question. It's it maybe misunderstands the scope or the idea here. What's going to happen in core is that we're going to provide like a JSON endpoint for those menu links, which then can be consumed by anything, whether it's a JavaScript thing like React or not. And some people might choose to consume them in a React application that perhaps isn't pre-rendered. But that's, I think that's on those developers who are building that client to make sure that their HTML is rendered in a way that a search engine could crawl it. I think we're not particularly focused on that. From someone else on the stage, a lot of new people here. Where can we learn about Decoupled Drupal from a basic level? Any sessions or websites? Maybe Batty, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, So we are definitely from the Drupal side trying to document exactly that. So I would really encourage if those who ask that question, if you want to come and help us out, because sometimes we are a little bit, we see it from our perspective that it's maybe like we are so used to work on Drupal.org and doing it that way, so we don't necessarily think about how it is for new people that are doing it for the first time. But there's a lot of sessions happening today. So on our initiative page on the event site, there are actually links to the sessions, and I think there are even sessions that are tagged here on Hopin. Otherwise, how do you learn about how to do it? I think the first thing what you could do is just to come to our contribution area, and maybe we can have a conversation about that. I think there are I see Ashraf putting in here, debookacademy.com is teaching Drupal, Decoupled Drupal. I think there are other sessions that you can also participate in. So feel free to, if you are here and you know something, then put the link here like Ashraf did earlier.
Yeah. One thing that I think would be really valuable is, in the keynote, we said, we're trying to pave the way. And so what we're doing right now is, developing some more components, finalizing the code that's going to go into core and stuff like that. But the most important thing we have ahead of us is to write documentation, to document the solution, to take what we learned from that survey, that said people wanted code snippets, they wanted a getting started guide. That's what we're doing right now. And sometimes the people who are best able to write that is to do it with a beginner's mindset. So please come and join us in the hackathon for that.
Yeah. Maybe you can I don't know do we have any? Yeah, on Friday evening, Rachel is asking. On Friday evening, what will you count as success? And I think maybe Gabe, one of the, why are we actually doing a hackathon? Maybe you can tell us what are we trying to test, or what's the feedback that we're trying to get?
Yeah. So right now, we think we've got a really solid solution for shipping menus, but it lives in contrib. It's in a module just called Decoupled Menus, and it's what we would want to put into core. And because it's kind of new and innovative, what we want is to see, a bunch of different people use it in different ways. So use it in React, use it in Svelte, use it in Vue, but maybe use it in a way that we didn't expect. Don't just build the most standard menu, but maybe try and think about, a way that's maybe not completely clear, and tell us, did it work for you or did it not work? And hopefully what we're going to learn is that, yeah, it worked great. We have 5, 6, 7 different implementations, and they all are pretty cool. And at that point, we can just take that code, lift it, put it in core. You guys can come and say, reviewed and tested by the community, let's get it in. Mm-hmm. And ideally, I think May 2nd is the deadline for the 9.1 or 2, I think it's 2, alpha, and we'll have it in core, and then it'll ship in a couple months. And then those menu components that are using those general projects are going to work with Drupal core right out of the box. So
Jess is writing it's 9.2, Gabe.
Thanks, Jess.
Yeah, one thing I want to add as well is, the general projects are a very new thing. And so we want that to kind of grow, and we want that to be used a lot, Should
we show it? There's maybe people here that wanted to see, because there was also questions earlier about where can I find the general projects.
General projects, yeah. We had a direct link that that we were using before, because wasn't.
Let's just find it out here. So basically, when you're in the issue queue here, you have the Drupal core, you have distributions, modules, themes, and general projects. And this is the new tab. Thank you, Drupal Association, for helping us.
Thank you so much. We needed that.
And we have now 11 general projects that match this search. And what Gabe showed earlier was the ones.js, which Sally and Theodore are mainly working on, together with, of course, a lot of other people. And then if we look at here, you will find the React menu component. You will find the Svelte component and the generic Drupal web component. And if you just go into these, one here for the hackathon, you can actually see that we've been trying as much as we can to say, like, how can you actually test this? How can you try it out? So I'm going to show you the endpoint. It's all documented on Open Social. But the endpoint that Gabe set up for us at Drupal, basic installation with an endpoint with the new code that he and the team has been working on. So here you have basically the menu. And these three components have actually been now, taking that and creating like a component in these three types of, different ways of how you can do it. So what Brian already did here from Buntius, he did the product overview video, and we can even look at the demo already. And I think that is actually at the moment. So what Gabe could be doing is that if Gabe changes his menu, I think like it should be, no, not through the storybook, of course, but like, I don't know. But Brian needs to show us how that is being done. But anyhow.
Yeah, I think it's that example on Code Sandbox or something.
I think so.
I realized that maybe we didn't actually answer the question as what would we count as a success directly.
Yes.
And I think success to me is core ships with the APIs you need out of the box. A Drupal beginner who's maybe never worked with Drupal before, but they do know React, maybe they came from a code school, is able to come to Drupal and put together a simple website, brochureware or something like that, and be really excited and find that, out of the box, they got a website with manageable menus that they could give to their client, and just say, it's up to you. You can manage it yourself. You don't have to call me to change, the about thing to say, our story.
Yeah, I think, and one thing I think is really huge and maybe, not as, maybe a little understated is the fact that getting these solutions open source is really big, because, when we found that people are, reinventing the wheel for their agency or in their little projects, well, now we can bring this to the Drupal ecosystem, and it can be, general projects that can have multiple people working on it. And it's really just going to be a generally good direction in a very meta level. So it's really exciting to me, and I hope it's exciting to a lot of other people too. Yeah. And
that's why also we didn't want to put the rules or like of the hackathon in a way of like that this you need to do. It's a little bit like what ideas do you have, and if that is, for example, just creating some documentation, that's probably going to be one of the biggest successes that we're going to get out of the week, if we can get like a group of people who can sit down and help us to document this, and also document the general project type, how to use that, and answering questions like David Becker asked, like what kind of projects can now have testing on the Drupal testbot? And do we have, can we answer that, or should we maybe see if there's somebody here from the engineering team that can help us answering that?
Yeah, I know that Neil Drum is in chat. If he wants to hop on, I'm calling him out. I'll answer it if you don't want to. You can say so. I'll answer it to the best of my ability.
Yeah.
Okay, so what kind of projects can have testing? Right now it's limited. It has to be, it's like opt-in. You have to talk to the DA and say you want to test it out, and they will give you access. And I think right now they're probably keeping that to people working on the initiative. But as soon as that's kind of fleshed out, then it'll become widely available, and you'll just use GitLab CI to do whatever kind of testing you want for any general project on D.O.
Hi, Neil.
Sorry, I halfway stepped away. I believe any general project can have GitLab CI testing right now.
Oh, it's not opt-in anymore?
Yeah, I think, I'd have to double check where we left that, but that's, yeah, I'm pretty sure I got it. So it's standard. Yeah.
Sweet. All right.
So yeah, right now we're kind of hoping that won't use up too many runner minutes on AWS. So yeah, the part of Drupal CI is you set up everything for a Drupal module and make it so you can test one environment. And as we roll out GitLab CI everywhere, we want to make sure that things are using a reasonable budget for their CI minutes. But honestly, it doesn't matter too much for contrib because core tests take much longer.
And I'm gonna send, so I think, so Sally has been working on this also together with the team, right? I don't know if she's here, but I'm gonna put a link to the ONCE project on GitLab. You can also just access it here, or here are the pipelines, but you can actually just go and check that out. I think that is the furthest that we have at the moment, right? Like this is the one that we are testing the most.
Yeah.
And see,
Yeah,
there's a lot of action.
Yeah, just end of last week opened up ability for maintainers to set variables and secrets in GitLab CI. So
Awesome.
I think it's reasonably
Secrets too.
complete now. Yeah, GitLab secrets are variables that are secret. So it's all under variables.
That's cool.
And then documentation was another piece. Was that another piece that that's in the near future?
So yeah,
That would
you
be
have
part of the pipeline
wikis
as well.
enabled on all general projects already. And there are GitLab pages. That is a bigger lift to set up because we got to set up DNS, make sure it's set up correctly, have a little bit of a plan for both of these to handle abuse, like someone posts a general project and starts a spam pages domain, and we don't really want to be like you can host anything on GitHub pages. People host their personal sites. We don't really want to get into that business. We want people to use it for the Drupal projects.
Yeah. And talking about that, Liam, I think that was one of your first core commits that was related to like the README page, which is now a README MD that you can actually,
Down.
yeah. And that was your first core commit, right?
It was Gabe's initiative there. I just sort of helped out, but I'll accept the credit a little bit.
Yeah. So I want to
Right.
actually highlight that. We talked about that in some of the podcasts that we've been going to. So Liam, you actually joined DrupalCon last July, I think, 9 months ago for the first time, and you were also new to Drupal. And now you're part
I was
of
thinking about that
this.
last night. It hasn't even been a year.
Oh, we miss you somehow. Like you're, I think your microphone is playing with you. Could it be? He's just going to join again. No, so if you're also new, so I think it was like this, that Liam was sitting there and listening to the Dries note, and then he saw that Gabe posted the channel there on Drupal Slack, and he said like, I'm going to join that channel. And then he saw the core issue that Gabe put together, I think, and some other people, and then Liam also started to chat in there, and I think that's a great story Liam, how you started just from coming to your first DrupalCon last July.
Yeah, not even a year ago. I was. Is my mic working now? We
Yes,
good?
perfect.
Good? Okay, cool. Yeah, no, not even a year ago, and I was like, wow, it's just been a wild ride, And it all just started with jumping into an initiative, and from there, it's I've met some really awesome people, and I couldn't be happier to be working alongside you guys, and yeah. No, it's been really awesome, and I encourage anybody else who's new to just dive in. I mean, it might be a little bit daunting at first, especially in a mature project. I mean, I was one of the first to jump in on the decoupled menus at the time, JavaScript, but I still feel like the community is welcoming, regardless of whether it's a project that's been worked on or whether it's a brand new project. So Yeah, no, yeah. Please
Yeah,
get.
thank you. So
We're happy to have
so
you
like
here. You're lucky.
so in 9 months, just doing the keynote in the next DrupalCon. That's a pretty cool thing, Liam. But thank you for everything, because you've actually been such a big part of the team, and also Gabe and Theodore, Sally, and everyone else. So thank you just all for that. So we have more questions. We have from Muhammad Umar Mirza. I represent a gov org in Pakistan, and we have developed 450 plus websites in Drupal 7. Wow, that's a lot of websites. And now we are migrating to Drupal 9. Is there any chance that we can collaborate with Drupal or any possible avenue? Yes, of course. So there is I can just speak from there is the government summit also happening, and there is come and talk to the Drupal Association and see how you can involve yourself in, I think there is always a way to collaborate, at least with the community and the Drupal Association and everybody who's related to that. So I would really go to the government summit or the higher ed summit, because there's a lot of other people who have been doing exactly the same thing. So I hope that answers the question. And there's also here from Rachel, when we made these components and have this extra function in Drupal, how can we sell it as another reason to adopt Drupal?
I think I gave some thought to like why when we were writing that RFC, what makes something core? Like why is Drupal core different on Drupal.org? And I think the reason is that it has a well-planned release cycle. It's predictable. We have a security team that's awesome and fairly unique in the open source world. Everything goes through rigorous code review. So my hope is that we start to build a reputation as having really high quality code. The JavaScript ecosystem is awesome and super vibrant, but it's the Wild West. And I think that there's an opportunity for Drupal to say, if you want stable code, you want secure code, you want trustworthy stuff that you can rely upon for years, and build applications that are meant to last a decade. That Drupal JavaScript code is what you want to build on top of.
Yeah, I mean, as a relative newcomer here, I can say that, from my experience, the stability is a big thing, and the security. They're two things that, from a WordPress background, I found that, there's not quite as much strictness when it comes to the security of plugins in WordPress, and that can sometimes cause some issues. One thing like I really noticed with Drupal is, yes, it has an overhead, but it also is very powerful under the hood. I mean, if you really want to get into it, you're working with the Symfony framework, which is that's a raw PHP framework. It's not it's more than just a CMS. I mean, there's so much you can do with Drupal if you want to dive real deep. And then I think the whole decoupled side of things just extends that even further, to the point where Drupal can really handle pretty much anything you're trying to solve. And then second to that, I would say that the other thing that I think is really big about Drupal is, well, everyone says the community. I know that's very cliche, but it's true. It's the community around Drupal is incredible. It's about, giving back, sponsoring time, giving credit for non-code contributions, things like that. These are all things that are not common outside of Drupal, and it's a big thing.
Can I ask a question to you, Liam and Batty also? What do you guys hope are the long-term implications of this initiative in 2 to 3 years when this is done and behind us?
I mean, I can start. I would say that in 2 to 3 years, I think that the general projects are just going to explode. I mean, we're already seeing them grow, and I didn't realize there's a lot of people that don't even know that they're really available yet. And so with that growing knowledge that people find that, oh, hey, I can just put, JavaScript code here in Drupal.org. I think that's going to grow, and we're going to have a lot of, I predict a marketplace for JavaScript components that is akin to modules, where we just have a lot. And then at some point we're going to have to be like, okay, how many of these are reinventing the wheel, but, how are they solving different problems? But I do see that marketplace growing, and I think it'll be really cool in the next few years.
So I think that now being like from Iceland, where there's a lot of cool things happening always in web development and in software development, we are already seeing, of course, like other systems become much like easier to start using. But then they actually there are just certain things that these systems can do, and they are very often also not open source systems. But on the other hand, you have something like Drupal, and that just can really grow with your organization, and you can really basically build anything. And from, native apps and really awesome front ends. And there's going to be so many great sessions that are coming now later that are going to be displaying that. So for me, my dream in 2, 3, 4 years would just be that the Drupal is just always the first go-to system, because we already have done this all now for many years, but somehow, it's not so easy for maybe new people to come in, or new companies that are building some awesome applications to just start using Drupal, because there's a lot of things you need to learn. So if we can simplify that process and we can make it a little bit easier, then of course, Drupal can already do everything that the other systems that are being really, widely used and adopted. We have already done that for so many years. And I just want to see that Drupal is just in that sense known for that as well, and not just for being a really well-structured CMS system.
Yeah.
Does it answer it, Skip?
And I want to add one thing I also want to add is the fact that, and you don't really notice this until you start diving into the back end side of things more. But the way the data side is handled, I think, is nice. It's the taxonomies and stuff are very. It just seems like a very strong data modeling platform, which I really appreciate, because I'm not, the heavy back end, the database design side of things isn't my area of expertise, and I feel like Drupal's really handled a lot of that side of things on top of the Symfony framework, that just makes it easier for me as someone who likes to work more in the front end, or even the middleware, part is really nice for sure to have that.
So maybe now there is actually a question about how do I run the menu components, like React menu component locally? Is there npm start command? I would actually like to ask if there is anyone here in the chat. I see Joe is here. Joe, if you have time, please come and say hi. There's also maybe if Brian is here, Juan Luis, if you are here, or anyone from the team who's actually been grooming these issues, maybe you can show your face, and so we've seen each other, because I'm not so sure. Liam, do you think that could you answer that question? How you run the menu components like locally? That's probably Juan Luis that would.
Not seeing that question. Where I'm on the chat. I'm not seeing that question.
It's in the Q&A.
Oh, Q&A. My bad. All right, there we go. All right, let's see. Let's go down.
Yeah. And by the way, we forgot to say Gabe. Oh, there's echoing going on now. But Gabe has a session, I think, coming up now in 10 minutes or 5 minutes. So please all go over to that session afterwards.
So I can't find the question. Where was it? Where is the question here?
It was just on the top. How do I run the menu components? Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, reverse order. Okay. So yeah, to run, how do I run the menu components, like React menu component locally? Yeah, that's going to vary depending on the project, and that is something that should be documented in the actual general project page itself. There should be like a README or something that guides you, because yeah, the React project is probably going to differ from the Svelte project, etc. They're going to have different dependencies and whatnot. So
You're
Yeah.
getting a microphone issue again.
Mhm.
Sorry
Yep.
for that.
Yep.
Yeah, it started to freak out again. I know. Anyhow, final question. Anyone that wants to come and ask a final question before we go and take a break for our next decoupled session that we want to go to? If not, we are just extremely happy to see all of you, and we're really looking forward to see you on Open Social Contribution Area. And
I think
know,
it's a memory leak or something, because it happens after a little while. Yeah.
yeah. So we were just wrapping up. Liam, thank you, Liam, for sharing your story, and thank you for being part of the initiative. And thank you, everyone, for being here. See you all around, and have a really nice afternoon, morning, evening, night.
Yeah. If anybody still has questions, always feel free to DM me. I'll do my best to answer the questions that you have, or point you in the right direction. Right. So, yep.
Try our best. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Yep. See ya.